welcome to our post-budget analysis. The Hopkins Group has been providing an economic update to our clients for the last 15 years. And the budget last night was probably a little bit quieter than normal, wouldn't you think, Shane?
Yeah, definitely. There definitely was, and the surprises from past in respect to, I guess, bulk changes of superannuation or even taxation. It was a little bit, as I guess the industry is sort of saying, a little bit Labor-like at the moment.
Yeah, I'm glad it was a bit quieter, considering that the work that we've done the last 6 months with superannuation changes. To actually get through a budget where there's no major announcements has got to be a bit of relief.
Definitely, I think so. And on the team, because we're still dealing with, obviously, the fallout from the previous changes. A lot of the changes come into effect from the 1st of July, but I think we needed that little bit of a reprieve.
So if we look at the big topic announcements, for our clients, wealth accumulators, wealth builders, that we're sitting down to give financial planning, tax and accounting advice to, tax changes, will they have more money in their pocket or less money in their pocket?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We've got the Medicare levy, which I know it's been frozen for a little bit of a time now, but from the 1st of July 2019, we're all going to take a little bit of a hit on that one. However, I don't think we're going to have too much less in our pockets because there hasn't been a massive change in respect to bracket creep or anything like that. So from a taxation point of view, that's sort of where we're going to see the major bulk of a bit of a loss in income moving forward.
But a small amount in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, I think so too. But there might be a little bit more being paid back too from a wealth accumulator point of view. And now having been in the workforce for a little while, a lot of us would have uni degrees. So we could be paying a little bit more back in HECS as well through our payroll.
Okay. And I suppose revenue effects for our clients. They might be taxed more, but do they expect to have more money coming back to them in any way?
Looking at the budget changes, in respect to our client base, from your mums and dads types of investors, I don't think there's going to be too much change in revenue. From the small business point of view, there's definitely some tweaks which we can do with some of the offsets in relation to tax deductions on the $20,000 incentive now for small business. So from that perspective, I'm still trying to find a little bit hard to find out, I guess, the big advantages or tax advantages from past years, which are going to be advantageous for clients moving forward.
Yeah. And our financial planning strategies that we work with clients, especially in that wealth accumulating space, involves a lot of borrowed money because we don't necessarily have the capacity free for those clients to use cash. Any changes that will affect that strategy moving forward?
Look, if we're looking at within self-managed super funds, we've had some previous announcements in April around LRBA strategies, so borrowing to purchase property with your self-managed super fund money. So, moving forward, obviously from the 1st of July, the guidance is now that the whole value of that asset will form part of, for example, their pension cap or their $1.6 million cap moving forward. However, there's also the issues, obviously, the banks are playing now. The government's going to hit the banks for a bit more of a tax hit. So the repercussions of which are what we're going to see moving forward as well. So not only on the lending side, but, and this is where I'm sort of getting to my point, is that we could see them starting to recoup now that revenue which the government's trying to tax them on, or the additional tax, through interest rate rises. We just don't know how that's going to play out at the moment. But I think there's opportunities to help clients from that perspective as well, to be able to seek out more opportunities from the mortgage side of things.
That's right. I think everybody's pretty confident that we're not looking at any interest rate increases directly from the Reserve Bank or interest rate cuts for the remainder of this year.
No.
But we've certainly seen interest rates move up out of cycle quite predominantly across all banks, all types of lending, owner-occupiers, investors, principal and interest only. But there's a chance with this another tax on the banks that this could be passed through in another slight increase or out of market increase in the interest rates.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, looking at the media, listening to the media this morning, and obviously relevant people within business positions and throughout the industry, is that yes, they've noted that the ACCC are going to be on the banks to make sure they're not raising rates out of cycle. However, the banks are there to return income for shareholders. We, like many, and everyone basically that has superannuation will be impacted through their shareholdings within the banks. So yeah, we're definitely going to see a little bit of a recouping of that money, which is going to go back into the government. Being able to spend on infrastructure, obviously, and that's sort of a different aspect of the budget that we need. We can sort of a little bit address about housing affordability.
Yep. And talking about housing affordability, negative gearing strategies in the way they relate to both shares and property, any major changes?
Look, there's no major changes, which is excellent. So they've left that a little bit untouched. However, we do have a slight win, I guess, for contracts with off-the-plan type of property. Yeah, here in Victoria we do have the stamp duty, which we've spoken about previously through previous discussions. But plant and equipment, depreciation, how new and old, and how that's going to impact future purchases of the property, and from a tax point of view, how whether or not they're eligible or not to claim depreciation.
Yeah. So you think that'll make it more attractive to look at new property versus older and encourage building and maybe improve affordability? Or do you think with all the changes announced with stamp duty, reduction in Foreign Investment Review Board approval for properties and a number of other changes, what do you think will happen with markets?
Look, I think the markets are obviously going to have a little bit of supply with the release of new land too here in Victoria and New South Wales. So from that side of things, they're trying to help both markets cope with obviously the large increases in property prices. In addition, how the rental market, and obviously this is where they've tried not to touch on negative gearing, because they still need to have a rental market that works, and the rental market obviously is supported by investment money. So, albeit yes, we do have the stamp duty, they wouldn't want to change, I guess, the depreciation or the advantages of being able to invest in a asset like property too much. But I see the market still being quite steady, but still increasing. And look, there's going to be a lot of demand out there. Again, you're going to have first home buyers vying for these properties as well. So depending on their affordability, and again, what happens with interest rates and whatnot, and now their first home savings accounts through super, there's still going to be that competition out there in the marketplace to ensure that the market still has a bit of a steady growth from here on in.
And with the retirees being able to sell down the family home and contribute $300,000 to superannuation for both the husband and wife under certain circumstances, do you think that'll free up more property for our clients to purchase?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because at the moment they've got their wealth in an asset which is an exempt from the pension side of things. However, if you've got that type of wealth generally outside super, you probably have that wealth, outside the environment or within the environment. So when you do commence a pension, you're not eligible. But I think, look, over the longer term, the ability to have a different, advantageous spot to park your money when you do downsize, because it's inevitable. It's all part of the retirement planning after you've built your wealth and moving into that next phase. Definitely going to be an advantage. And I think what they've done here also to encourage the downsizers to free up property again is also going to add to that competition and, in certain aspects of certain markets, especially here in Melbourne.
Yep. And the substantial announcements with infrastructure spend, how do you think that's going to affect employment and wage growth?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously positively, because it's new jobs being created through all these, different rail links from Melbourne to Queensland, for example. So I think that's positive, but that's definitely Australia-wide. So I definitely think it's going to have a positive impact.
Yeah. And as a financial planner sitting down with clients now, looking forward to the future, is there any dark clouds on the horizon, or do you see a silver lining out there? How do you feel now compared to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, look, a couple of years ago, and we've been bombarded with changes year in, year out, basically, and we just didn't get a bit of a reprieve, and clients would always come back to us and say more changes. I think now and moving forward with the lesson changes, the changes they have made are still advantageous to clients. So we've got a few more different, varying strategies now which we can employ. Probably the greater amount of generations, whereby previously we had nothing for the younger generations. Now we've got the wealth builders, so that middle generation, or you're moving on from Y to X, So, you know, that superannuation is starting to look a little bit more attractive to them over the longer term. They're starting to become more engaged. So from a strategy point of view, and then building wealth and then moving it into the superannuation with all the, you know, the additional contribution caps over and above, you know, your thresholds and whatnot, with downsizing beyond, I think it's going to be a lot of strategies. Really important to seek the advice, but there's definitely a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. And with a lot of people saying that it is a bit of a Labor light type budget, typically a budget that you might release, you know, the day before you go to polls rather than the day after you've just been elected, and you know the Liberals can, you know, agreeing to fund Gonski, agreeing to fund the NDIS, agreeing to attack the banks and tax them and make banks responsible for more of the advice that they're providing. Do you have any idea what you think Labor's response will be, considering that they really don't have much left in their kit bag to really promote?
Yeah, watching Bill Shorten this morning, I mean, he still wants to attack it, but it's quite interesting to see that he's attacking his own beliefs.
Yeah.
You know, even Peter Credlin sort of come out this morning, again, watching her, and basically saying that both sides of Parliament at the moment, it's Labor policies. So I think it's going to be good. We're going to have bipartisan support on a lot of it. Australia's got their AAA credit rating, you know, from that aspect of things at the moment. So the outcomes there are positive. They've definitely played it safe. So from that point of view, I don't think you know the response from the opposition is going to throw out too many wild cards or request them to go a little bit more deeper, either on the spending or more tax cuts.
So great. And so a message to our clients, what would you like to leave us on? What would you like to tell clients?
Well, I think no matter what generation you are, it's very important. There's no time like the present now to seek advice. Whether you're just starting out purchasing your first home, or the wealth builders, you're in that category of now building wealth, or could be looking at your first investment property. There's no time like the present to sit down with a financial advisor and specifically an accountant to see how we can make that work for you.
So ideally what we'd love is for you to give us a call. We'd be happy to catch up with you on a no-cost obligation basis. Our organisation provides a full service from financial planning through to tax and accounting, mortgage and finance advice, property investment advice, property management. Ideally, we'd love you to come on board as a client, have a look at what we can offer you as a complete package, as an integrated service that we can provide to all our clients, walk you through what the changes have been, but have a look at your individual circumstances and put you on the right strategy moving forward. I look forward to seeing you in